Howdy-ho, Andrew, a.k.a. Calvier, a.k.a. Shadowson here. Welcome to the Onion Buns and welcome to another episode of Tales of Neverwinter Nights. So, last week we finished off with a dream sequence Tarl had of him and Maverlin having a death match in Tribor. And he had just woken up at the end of that. So, that's where we're going to pick up for this week. And yeah, so let's get to it. Lone Encounter by Maverlin. While traveling through the hills, heading towards Tribor to hunt, she encountered a young squire. She observed him for several minutes, undetected as he battled a few hungry denizens of the area. When he was finished, she allowed herself to be seen. "Then you, Palamu," she said in a husky voice. He looked up, startled to find he was no longer alone. Feeling the bloodlust rising in her, she again spoke. "Would you care to spar a little, Palamu?" She laughed with evil intent. Watching the Drowis with wariness in his eyes, he asked, "And what would be the terms of this challenge?" Laughing, preparing to speak, she paused as Loth entered and spoke through her. "If I should win, I will exact a price." "And what is this price?" he inquired. "I will take your heart for sacrifice, little Palamu," she answered. "I will not steal your mind, for I wish you aware, nor will I use poison to kill you, for I want you uncontaminated. Do not fear death, though, for know that you will be resurrected and unchanged if you agree. Do you agree to these terms?" she asked him. He considered for a moment, then nodded. I agree, but what price do I exact? From thee, should I win?" Throwing her head back, she laughed with evil glee. "Why, little Palamu, whatever you wish, of course." Upon uttering this last, the presence of an evil divinity left Mav, leaving behind a feeling of power. As he drew his sword, he began to circle the Yathrin, casting protective spells as he went. Maverlin did not draw a weapon, nor did she prepare to defend herself in any way. Instead, calling on the power still inside her, she cast a holding spell on the young knight. His protective spells did not save him, and he was held immobile for seconds after the sparring began. He watched in horror, unable to move or speak, as she came closer. With a wicked smile on her lips, she pushed him over, and watched as he toppled to the ground like a statue. Quickly, lest any other happen upon them, she removed his shirt, laying bare to his chest. Then, taking the dagger from the folds of her cloak, she chanted, "Loth tu Mala," and some more drow that I am just not going to bother trying to read anymore. Slicing deep into the flesh, fascinated by the gruesome sight, she reached into the chest cavity and ripped out his still beating heart. After licking the blood off the dagger, she searched through her pack and found a jar. Placing the now still heart within and speaking a few arcane words, the heart began to beat again. Carefully, she replaced the jar back in her bag. With the task complete, she turned towards the dead paladin. Loth again entered the chosen vessel. Speaking great words of power, the knight's body disappeared at the same time as the presence within her did. Looking about, checking the area, she continued towards Tribor without further incident. So now we're going to get into other people's writings, not just Maverlin's. And this will be the start. Farewell, Dark Rose by Bernard of Koj, Knights of Justice. As Bernard sat upon the edge of the clearing, enshrouded by the varying foliage, he looked onwards into the night upon the Temple of Loth. Bernard sat and watched the drow file out of the Black Temple, one by one as they headed into the caves. As the drow became swallowed by the void of the caverns, Bernard could make out one form among the group. He sighed as he watched Maverlin heading off out of sight. He wanted to reach out to her and say his farewells. He saw her and felt the anguish grip his heart in its iron talons. He looked upon her for what might be the last time. He saw her beauty and what he knew as her gentle hand. He bit his lip and turned his head as she too disappeared from sight. As the last drow stepped from the sight, Bernard stepped forth into the clearing, a beam of moonlight cascading across his features. As he stepped forth, he brushed his long white hair past his pointed lobes. His ebony-colored skin seemed to mask him from sight as he made his way towards the temple doors. Bernard stepped within, seeing all to be quiet and seemingly peaceful. Unusual for a temple of Loth. Bernard slowly approached the altar with his bag in hand, gritting his teeth in the winds of sorrow and pain. He thought of her once more and wondered how possibly he could ever feel this way for one such as her. As he reached the altar, he placed one hand into the bag and began to spill out its contents. As he bit back the tears, he placed a single red rose trimmed in silver upon the altar. Swiftly following was a scroll tied with a crimson ribbon. Bernard took the rose once more and smelled it, its sweet fragrance, one last time, remembering the beauty that seemed to haunt his very soul. He set the rose down upon the altar and made his way to the temple doors. As he passed through them, he looked back. Bernard's eyes caught the altar one last time as the flickering torch light graced the gleaming petals of the gentle blossom and the aged parchment whose secrets seemed untold. Bernard allowed a single tear to stream down his cheek as he loosed a sigh from the very depths of his soul. Alleuve Mauverlin. Bernard turned and sealed the doors, departing into the loneliness of the night once more for what might be an eternity. Contents of the scroll. My blessed Mauverlin, even though I leave these lands, I leave my heart as well. Alas, only these words could describe your touch upon my heart and upon my soul. Siren Song. Such sweet serenity, so beauteous and true, yet so captivating. Though mine's own heart be blue, with a siren song thy voice doth call, though the wind as a gentle sylph, and what was lost now found. For I thought fair maidens but a myth, for whence I gaze into the heavens, I see the twinkling of thine eyes, and as I see the setting sun, I feel the warmth of thine embrace. Your gentle touch, 'tis as the wind, flowing down upon my soul. For when my heart doth race, I bear witness to unending grace. So my soul yet cries to know of thee. Alas, mine eyes only to see, and when my ears doth hear the passions of the breeze, 'tis the siren's song, enchanting solely me. Perhaps another day or another time we shall meet again. Until that time, my heart you keep. Alas, my soul nay shall set free. Bernard. And that's where we're going to stop for today, because the next entry is actually quite a long one. So it's probably going to be the only story I read for next week's video. So yeah, that kind of concludes, I think, the whole love trice of Mauverlin and hunting down the paladins that she calls Palamoos and everything like that. And yeah, it's, as you could see over the weeks, there was a number of different characters involved. Even though it was Mauverlin writing, there was a number of different characters involved. And this is one of the things that made NWN so great, is, as I've called it before, the cooperative role play inside the game. You don't find it nowadays. Like, I'm not being a defeatist here. I've played pretty much every MMO you can think of. I've either alpha tested them, beta tested them, or played them at least. And while I've seen pockets in different games of roleplay, I have never seen the roleplay that took place in Neverwinter Nights. It does not exist in modern gaming, and it hasn't for decades. Star Wars Galaxies had some, because Star Wars Galaxy was this massive open world or open universe game that was really light on any story or any written story. So the players had to come up with their own if they were interested in that. Now, a fair number of players didn't. They just hunted and killed and blah, blah, blah. But then there was other ones. You had your crafters, because SWG had crafting just amazing crafting, so in depth. So you had the crafting and you had the adventures and you had the PvPers, but then you had the role players. But even they did not rise to the level of what you see or saw in Neverwinter Nights. And, Dark Age of Camelot had a little bit, not a lot, but a little bit. And I guess the next one would be Elder Scrolls Online, though what passes for roleplay there is pretty much just cybersex. If I'm being very honest, I didn't partake in it at all. But my home, because you would buy these homes, my home was right outside of the town that was most known for role play. And I'd walk in and like right at the tavern, they were typing it out loud and I was laughing my ass off just walking past them. And it was cybersex. Like, make no doubt about it. There was no role play like you're seeing in these stories. It was cybersex. That's what they were doing. That was their role play. Okay, if that's what does it for them, all the power to them. I'm not going to judge. Oh yeah, I am going to judge, but it doesn't matter. But it made me laugh. But yeah, it's like Neverwinter Nights was unique in this regard. And that's kind of sad at the same point, because I would love to see this level of roleplay, especially in some of the games like Star Wars, the old Republic. That game, if BioWare and EA had been serious, that game could have had some amazing Jedi Sith roleplay in it. Could have, didn't, but could have. Elder Scrolls does fairly decent for what it is. Yeah, like I say, it's kind of like a lost art, So I'm talking online role-playing games. I'm not talking tabletop where you can get into a D&D group they don't even really look at the rules. All they do is role play. So, you can find that, but I am talking about the MMORPGs. Anyway, that's the video for this week. If you enjoyed the video, leave a like, a subscribe, and a share. I'm trying to grow my channel, and a like, a subscribe, and a share, it does me wonders, and I do appreciate it. It takes 1 second to subscribe, costs you absolutely nothing, helps me immensely. Just hit the subscribe button on the bottom of the screen. If you're watching this on Rumble, please follow my channel. Always feel free to leave a comment. I encourage everybody to leave a comment. Not only does it get us interacting, but it really does help me with the YouTube algorithm and getting more eyes on my videos. And as always, pew, 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 and shit. Thanks for watching. Have a great day. Bye.